What's happening in Germany right now should make every single one of us sit up and pay attention. We're talking about organized networks operating in plain sight, governments preparing their populations for crisis scenarios, and economies scrambling to find solid ground. I'm Andrew Meatrich, and today we're diving into events that connect in ways most mainstream outlets won't show you. I walked away from a major media organization because I saw firsthand how narratives get shaped to fit agendas. Now, I work independently, I answer to no one, and I tell you what's actually unfolding across the globe. Before we go further, if this kind of honest analysis matters to you, hit that like button and subscribe. And if you want to help keep this channel independent and free from corporate influence, consider becoming a sponsor. It means more than you know. It means I can keep bringing you the truth without compromise. So let's start in Germany, because what happened in Remscheid is absolutely staggering. Special forces raided an auto repair shop in North Rhine-Westphalia, and what they found inside defies belief. We're talking hundreds of combat weapons, rifles, pistols, machine guns, and yes, even explosive devices. The cache was so extensive and so well hidden that officers had to use support tools and even chainsaws to fully access the stash. Bomb disposal units were called in immediately. This wasn't some amateur operation. Authorities later clarified this was just one piece of a much larger puzzle, part of a coordinated effort against an international network. Those are the key words here: international network, long suspected of arms trafficking. Picture this: a secret arsenal hidden in what looks like an ordinary workshop, special forces, chainsaws, and hundreds of weapons. German authorities have stumbled onto a network whose true scale is only beginning to emerge. So we're watching this very carefully, because what comes next will tell us a lot about what's really going on beneath the surface. But it doesn't stop there. Germany's Federal Minister of the Interior, Alexander Dobrindt, now wants to prepare school children and students for crises and potential conflict scenarios. The Interior Ministry chief is proposing 2 lessons per year focused on preparedness for any challenges that might arise. According to Dobrindt, these sessions would discuss with young people various threat scenarios and the best ways to prepare for them, because, as he emphasizes, young people are crucial carriers of knowledge within their families. Federal and state interior ministers are set to meet in Bremen in early December to jointly develop an effective strategy in this direction. And here's where it gets more concrete. Dobrindt has advised citizens to keep emergency supplies at home, flashlights, batteries, and a radio. Officials are quick to clarify this isn't about panic, not at all. It's about sensible precaution. Dobrindt also referenced a recently released civil defense guide covering topics like what to do during power outages or possible airstrikes. The demand for this guide has been enormous, and interestingly, there's been no public outcry. People want to know how to prepare. That's how the minister explained it. Everyone understands the situation perfectly well. Meanwhile, Germany continues dealing with an outbreak and spread of avian flu, unfortunately leading to ongoing mass culling of poultry. Losses are being estimated in the millions of euros. Around infected farms, protective zones with a 3-kilometer diameter have been established, along with a 10-kilometer observation zone. Experts note it's highly unusual that this year cranes were primarily affected first, likely becoming the main carriers of the infection. In addition, cases of swan losses have been documented. Worth noting, in mid-October, the Netherlands imposed a nationwide ban preventing farms from letting poultry outdoors due to the avian flu epidemic. Denmark also announced in October that they had already eliminated 150,000 chickens due to an avian flu outbreak. So this outbreak has affected not just Germany. We'll be watching how events continue to develop. The problem is genuinely serious. Now stay with me here, because we're just getting started, and what's happening across Europe and the United States is all connected. There's also heated discussion today about a major interview given to Bild by the head of the Christian Social Union and Bavaria's Minister-President, Markus Söder. He once again addressed benefits for Ukrainian citizens, expressing deep dissatisfaction, and believes the influx of young men from Ukraine needs to be both monitored and reduced. Regarding the auto industry, Bavaria's premier also spoke quite harshly. He stressed, if there are no microchips, everything stops. This cannot happen. Europe needs its own supply chains, less dependency, more autonomy. On climate policy, Söder declared the European Commission's goals unrealistic. Achieving 100% transition to electric vehicles by 2035 is simply impossible, he said, and Germany's economy must become priority number one. So, in summary, Söder spoke firmly about benefits and demands realism in climate policy. He insists the economy must be Germany's driving force. Bavaria's premier has shown he has ambitions, and now time will tell how these stated goals will be achieved in practice, not just in words. At the same time, Friedrich Merz continues moving forward with his previously announced plan to make the Bundeswehr the strongest army in Europe. Large-scale rearmament has gradually but confidently begun gaining momentum. There's a new government document now publicly available, a wish list for military acquisitions worth 377 billion euros. It contains hundreds of projects, ranging from ground forces and aviation to the navy, space, and even cyber defense. A total of 320 new armament programs are planned. Almost half of them already have contractors assigned, and naturally the main one is Germany's largest defense industry giant, as you know. The money will be allocated in tranches. Every purchase over 25 million euros requires parliamentary approval. But one thing is already clear today: Germany is betting on its own industry and long-term military power. In the end, 377 billion euros isn't just a budget, it's a serious bid for leadership in Europe, which means everything is proceeding according to the plan previously announced by Germany's Chancellor. If you're finding value in this breakdown, take a second to like this video and leave a comment with your thoughts. It helps more people find this content, and I read every single comment. Now let's jump to France, where once again, due to arson on railways in the southern part of the country, many trains are being cancelled and delayed. The operator announced that someone deliberately set fire to signal cables. As a result, starting at 6 a.m. today, movement has been seriously disrupted. Specialists are currently assessing the extent of the damage, and naturally an investigation is underway. Problems could last until Tuesday, but it's already clear this negative trend continues. Regarding new reports directly from the United States due to the government shutdown, food assistance payments are being suspended. Because of political standoff, 40 million Americans will stop receiving food aid starting this coming November. The Department of Agriculture posted a notice on its website just yesterday, stating that federal food assistance is being discontinued because the government shutdown is dragging on. And how long it will drag on, nobody knows, not even an approximate time frame. But please note, 1 in 8 Americans relies on this assistance. As for new statements from Donald Trump himself, speaking with journalists aboard Air Force One, Trump responded to a suggestion that he should pursue an unconstitutional third term. This idea was recently floated by former White House strategist Steve Bannon. The President of the United States explained he'd be happy to do it, claiming he has the best numbers in all of history. That's what Donald Trump specifically emphasized when asked about Bannon's comments, making it clear he believes there's simply no equal to him in history so far. However, Trump added he hasn't actually thought about running again, because there are other very good people. And when Trump was asked to name names, he pointed to Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance, then particularly praised his Vice President Vance. Obviously, J.D. Vance is great, the Vice President is great, Trump said word for word. Not sure anyone would compete with those two. That was his explanation. Look, I'm not a fan of Trump, let me be clear about that, but I report what's said. The question we should be asking is, when a sitting president entertains the idea of a third term, even casually, what does that say about the state of democratic norms? I'm not saying he'll do it. I'm saying the conversation itself is worth examining, skeptically. Now here's something interesting from Argentina. Despite harsh reforms, President Javier Milei, now known worldwide, secured a decisive victory in midterm elections, thereby gaining powerful support for his tough reform agenda. In Parliament, his party will now occupy 64 seats instead of 37. This will allow the president to push through his reforms more easily and worry less about opposition blockades. Naturally, for Milei, who during his campaign, as you know, used a chainsaw as a symbol of his commitment to cutting spending, this victory confirmed the correctness of his strategy. He understood he's on the right path, and despite protests and falling approval ratings, now even, as stated, the first signs of success from his policies are beginning to appear. Inflation has decreased, and the country's budget showed a surplus for the first time in many years. For the first time in a long while, there's a clear direction of movement. That's what they're saying in Buenos Aires. The election results in Argentina were received positively at the White House. Please note, US President Donald Trump congratulated Milei on his tremendous victory and declared he's doing outstanding work. That's what Donald Trump said, adding our confidence in him is confirmed by the Argentine people. That was the explanation from the American president. And in the media, they're explaining to everyone. Now Milei is considered a guarantor of stability. Financial markets expect growth in stocks and bonds. Although the situation in the country still remains tense, many Argentines are suffering from declining purchasing power and the poverty level remains high. That's what's been stated. After the elections, Milei announced reshuffles in the cabinet of ministers to accelerate the pace of reforms. So that's how things unfold in our time. Before we wrap up, let me recap what we've covered today. We started with Germany, where special forces uncovered a massive weapons cache linked to international arms trafficking, then moved to the government's push to prepare citizens for crisis scenarios. We looked at France's ongoing railway sabotage issues, the United States government shutdown affecting 40 million Americans who depend on food assistance, Trump's casual remarks about a third term that deserves scrutiny, and finally, Argentina's political shift under Milei. These stories aren't isolated, they're pieces of a larger picture showing how governments worldwide are responding to instability, whether through military buildup, civil preparedness, or economic restructuring. These are the informational moments for today, and they speak volumes about where we are and where we're heading. Write your opinion in the comments. What do you think about everything that's unfolding? And if this analysis gave you a clearer picture of what's really happening, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future breakdowns. And if you believe in independent journalism that answers to viewers, not corporate boards, consider becoming a channel sponsor. Your support makes this possible. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, stay informed, stay alert, and keep questioning everything.